And after church, going to the drugstore for a cherry Coke. It's sitting around the barber shop, reading a sports page, getting a shoe shine, and listening to Fred and Spooky tell their corny jokes. It's going to the wrestling matches on Saturday night, or maybe to the county line for a beer or two. It's sitting in your car on Main Street watching the people pass when there's nothing else to do. It's shelling corn and making quilts, and sometimes there's a remnant sale. It's getting a call in the middle of the night to get a good buddy out of jail. It's book satchels and cloakrooms and notes from mother when you're late to school. It's getting a basketball for Christmas and practicing the golden rule. It's getting one of those Parker pen and pencil sets for high school graduation. Or if you're a girl, it's always evening in Paris perfume. It's being scared to ask that special girl to dance at the senior prom. It happens every June. It's trying to learn to smoke cigarettes and dip snuff and chew tobacco, and you get so sick you think you're gonna die. It's trying to get somebody to show you how to make a Windsor knot in your daddy's brand new Sunday tie. It's everything and everybody, and when you talk about it, you get that very special itch. But the thing I like about Mayberry most of all, it made old Goober rich. Good night. George Lindsey.
This man right here has kept me laughing for longer than I can remember, Mr. George. That's something you don't see on TV a lot.
That's right.
I didn't get through saying George Lindsey.
Well, thanks a lot, Bill.
You're known as a comic and a character actor and this kind of thing, but really and truly, didn't you start out to do some serious things when you first got in this business?
I did a lot of serious acting in Hollywood, Gunsmokes and Twilight Zones and Alfred Hitchcocks and Boys at the Bottom of the Sea. Did about a churn full of serious roles.
I remember seeing you on an old Twilight Zone thing not too long ago. How did it go from there into the comic things on the Andy Griffith Show?
I just went and auditioned. I'd always been a comic, you know, and I went and auditioned and got the Goober role. Actually, I auditioned for Gomer, and me and Jim Neighbors, and he got it, and when he went to his Marine show, then they spun me off to be Goober, and Goober wasn't a hard person to play because I once asked Andy Griffith, I said, what is Goober's character? Tell me about him. And he said, he's the kind of guy that would go into a restaurant and say, hey, this is great salt. So that's not what you call an in-depth person. You know. But I did, fortunately, I got some Broadway experience. I got to star in a couple of Broadway musicals in New York. And then after that, I got to do a lot of serious acting, rifleman and things like that. You know, we did a Hitchcock called The Jar that won the Emmy Award as the best dramatic show, and written by Ray Bradbury and directed by Jim Bridges, who directed Urban Cowboy. Oh, yeah. And so I fortunately got to do a lot of that. Now, I can't go back and do it because they won't let me. And
you think you're too typed to go back?
Yeah. I once grew a Freddie Fender mustache, and I had a glasses on and a hat, and I was in the Knoxville airport, and I knew nobody in the world knew who I was, and I heard a little girl say, Mama, there goes Goober with a mustache.
I went with you one time to the set when you were doing Mayberry RFD, which came along a little later. I got the feeling from spending a few minutes with you there that everybody in the cast really got along well. Was that true?
Well, not only got along well, but I guess as an ensemble company at the time, we were as good as anybody because we actually became those people. I mean, Aunt B became Aunt B, and little Opie, you know, he's 57 years old now, Ron Howard. He and Andy had a father-son relationship. Actually had a father-son relationship. I've seen Andy get after him, and he'd cry, and et cetera, you know.
How long you been doing hee-haw now?
11 years.
You like that?
Yeah, I think they're going to keep me on.
Sounds permanent.
Oh, it's again, there's another place where everybody likes everybody, and...
Don't you think that ultimately comes out of the tube?
I think any time that you have, you've got that kind of thing, I think they have that in MASH. I think they have that in Well, all the hit shows where you got an acting ensemble, I don't think you can work with anybody you don't like.
Did you know String Bean was String?
Yes,
I know Porter and I were talking about him earlier.
And I used to go eat with Grandpa and String every day, and String would see something on your plate, and he'd say, let me have a little bit of that, and just take it with his hand right out of your plate. And they'd tell all those old stories, and of course I'm not that old, you know, but actually I just turned 50. I don't know if you know that or not.
Is that right?
Yeah, and there's no difference in it than when I was like 20 or except going to bed at night, because when I go to bed at night, now I have to put Vicks on my chest, have to wear pajamas, have to have water by the bed, brush 2 sets of teeth, put cream on my heels where they've cracked during the day, porcelana on my hands, get them liver spots off.
You ever been on the Opry before, or is this your first time?
No, I was on it when I was at the Ryman, and I come prissing in here from Hollywood, and I said, where do you rehearse? And they all fell down laughing.
True.
Yeah, just go out there and do it.
Hey, I'm glad you're here at the Opry. Thank you for sharing a few minutes with us.
You're a real friend.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
You are too, George. George Lindsey, ladies and gentlemen. We've been visiting with him. When we come back from these commercial messages, we're going to visit again with the master of the Sligo boat dock, Mr. Porter Wagner. You're watching Backstage at the Grand Ole Opry.
The Spinal Tap.